right.
Born ready.
Okay, all right. Our Parks meeting is now in session, and we'll go ahead and start with roll call. We got Alder Presley,
Here.
Alder DeLee,
Here.
Alder Weary,
Present.
and myself, all here. And we'll go ahead and start with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, looking for an approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Alder DeLee,
Second.
second by Alder Presley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and we'll move forward to approval of minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Presley,
Second.
second by Alder DeLee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and that passes. Okay, we will move on to regular business. Number one, consideration with possible action on the request by Alder DeLee to allow the Murphy Park Neighborhood Association to work with the Park and Rec Department in planning a pickleball tournament at the new courts at Murphy Park. We want to start with you, Director?
Yeah, I'll have James kind of give a brief presentation.
Yeah, so as most of you know, we installed some pickleball courts at Murphy, and we're very excited to say that they've been a really big hit. It's really drawn a lot of people, new guests and people to the park, and also kind of, it's gave the park a little bit of energy and a little bit of a different feel to the park. So we're really excited to, we try to, in the opening day, we did a little kind of mini tournament to kind of kick off the unveiling and kind of ribbon cutting. And even that little mini tournament went well. And so we're really excited when Alder DeLee reached out and asked if we would collaborate with the Neighborhood Association. And we're more than excited to do that next year. And, you know, possibly even once, or if it goes well, we can do another one. I mean, it's kind of the, that's kind of the direction we're going, utilizing these new amenities and, you know, building on successes that we've had. So we're excited to do that.
Awesome. So I know we have somebody here to speak on it. Do you want to open the floor, or do you want to speak first, Alder DeLee?
Yeah, so I had gone to the Neighborhood Association and sat down with all the members of that, and they proposed that they would like to do something like this. So Mr. Sawyer's in the audience today, and I think we should make a motion to open the floor to hear his remarks on it.
Okay, Alder DeLee makes a motion.
Second.
Second by Alder Weary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, there's none, so go ahead and come forward.
Hello, everybody. Mark Stoyer, 1730 Nancy Avenue, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54303. Like Alder DeLee said, he's coming to our meetings of our brand-new Murphy Park Neighborhood Association, and we're very happy about it. And we are looking for, well, what can we do to promote our group, promote the city? And with these pickleball courts, it's really been an addition. You know, like James said, it's been very well attended, very well used. And we were talking about Pickle Fest next year, and you've heard it's a big deal. I said I wasn't going to bring it up, but you know. It is. It's a big deal. So anyway, combination of music and a tournament. So I was hoping that Kim Allgaier was going to be here. She and Mike Renish were very instrumental in getting these pickleball courts in, and they're very gung-ho about this. So, and they've worked with James and Dan in the past. So, you know, I realize that we're looking at it through the Neighborhood Association. You know, I might be just, you know, just talking that way. We have some monies in our account that we'll be utilizing, but I think what we'd like from the city is just cooperation, help, something, you know, and you guys can maybe offer that up. As far as helping to set this up, I don't know if this is something that you would want just the Neighborhood Association to work on. maybe we could work with the city a little bit and coordinate plans for something on this order. But it would be a big benefit, I think, not only for the neighborhood association, but for the city as well. So I'm just here to listen and talk, and my moment of history, I always would, Jimi Hendrix was born on this day in 1942, so I just thought I'd bring that up.
Do you,
Any
who are the
questions?
people you were referring to, are they on the board for Murphy Park?
I'm on the board.
I mean, the people you mentioned, were they, that are not here?
Oh, they're not, yeah, well, they're not on the board, they're just citizens, they live in Howard, but they were very instrumental in getting these courts set up.
Okay.
So it'd be Kim Elgeyer and Mike Renish, and they're willing to work with us and with Alder DeLee and what have you. And I think our neighborhood association is very excited about this as well. So I guess the big thing is we're just trying to figure out a good date, per se. You know, because summer in Green Bay is a roll of the dice as far as, you know, when's a good weekend and weather and all that kind of stuff. So we're looking at coordinating with the city, a date, and we can come up with some ideas, a couple of bands that we know that might want to play at the event, and then food trucks. I know there had been some discussion, we had a neighborhood association gathering last time, and we had food trucks in the parking lot, and I know there was maybe a little stink about that. I'd like to just see what is doable and allowable and safety-wise. But that was a big hit, you know, having a food truck or two at our neighborhood association gathering. That's really all I have.
Tammy, any questions?
Not really a question, just statement. I do like the idea of the neighborhood association really kind of leading this up with support from the Park and Rec. I think it's a great idea. Those courts are so busy all the time. It's probably the weather right now that's the only thing holding people back, but they are packed all the time, and I think this would be a great opportunity to get the word out for Murphy Park and the new neighborhood association that's kind of refounded now, so.
All right, exactly. Well, thanks for listening.
Okay, well, thank you. And assuming there's no one else to talk about this?
Motion to close floor.
Okay, motion made by Elder Weary,
Second?
second by Elder DeLee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and the floor is now closed. And I do want to say that everything that is coming to us tonight will be on our city council agenda next Tuesday, December 3rd. So I recommend coming and sharing there as well. Because we make recommendations, but it's not final until it goes to city council. Okay, and number 2, I'm sorry. I guess we have to actually vote on that, don't we? I apologize. Is there any discussion, further discussion?
I guess I just want to add, so we can work with the neighborhood association to whatever level or scope they want us to, essentially. So if they want to do something as a project to be more like hands-on and build camaraderie with their neighborhood association and have something to really look forward to and build that kind of team, that's fine. I can navigate them through the different processes or different things that, you know, to whatever level they want to. So, or we can collaborate with them because we're excited about it too. We know we're going to do something there as well. So whether it's that event or another, you know, offering to the public, or so, just let me know.
Well, you've done the mini one, so you have that experience, so it'd be nice to have that help with that, I'm sure.
And the special event process, if it gets to, you know, that, all those things, I can help with that too, so.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah.
Thanks.
Alder Weary.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Are we just looking for approval? Just want this approved, send it to you, and you'll coordinate with the neighborhood association?
Yes, I would recommend approval. The actual event itself does not need park committee or city council approval. We'll approve that at staff level once we work out the details with the neighborhood association.
Excellent idea. Always good to see Alderman Stoyer, former Alderman Stoyer. He always used to make me kiss his ring, though, when he was president, was city council president, yeah. That was embarrassing.
I'm getting older.
You said you had to kiss your ring.
When you're council president, I always had to kiss your ring. That was wrong. Did you want to make a motion?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Elder DeLee, seconded by Elder Weary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that passes. Moving on to number 2, consideration with possible action on accepting a $500,000 DNR EPA grant to complete the necessary engineering for an area of concern habitat restoration project at the Wildlife Sanctuary and Renard Island Near Shore Waterway, located adjacent to Bay Beach Amusement Park.
So, yes, over the past few years, we've discussed several area of concern projects that the DNR and EPA have selected and offered to fund. So in total, I believe that they selected 12 projects throughout the region, of which only a few of them are within the city limits. The rest of them are, like I said, the regional projects. And really their goal on this is to improve the habitat, both in water and upland, for wildlife species so that they can eventually remove that area of concern designation in the lower bay. So within the city, we've already approved funding and accepting a grant for engineering for Tank Farm Marsh. That went through the INS committee, and then for Joliet Park more recently with the Parks Committee. Both of those projects, we accepted similar grant agreements with the DNR and EPA, and those projects are already in the works. So this one is specifically for the Wildlife Sanctuary and also kind of the water area in between Renard Isle and Bay Beach Amusement Park. So just recently, the EPA awarded a $500,000 grant to complete the necessary engineering. So this is not for construction, this is just to create the design itself and the necessary bid documents so that we can then construct it at a later date. If approved, there would be no cost to the city as part of this engineering. This $500,000 grant would pay for all of the engineering fees. And then after the engineering is complete and we have a project in mind with a cost associated with the project, again, the DNR and the EPA will then seek funding through grants to fund it 100% in full. So we're not anticipating any city money when it comes time to implement this project. So the process moving forward is after the grant is approved, the city will hire the engineering consultant to design the project. We will be bringing the consultant selection back to Park Committee and City Council to actually hire the consultant. Right now, we're just approving the grant funding, not hiring the consultant. The scope of the work for the engineering would include habitat identification and detailed site information studies. So that'd be wetland delineations amongst a lot of other studies that go along with this. But then they would also recommend a habitat improvement project and detail everything out with plans and specifications. City staff is teaming up with Brown County and the DNR to design this. Obviously, Brown County is involved because of the proximity to Renard Island. But as it relates to permitting and hiring the consultant and accepting the grant, the city would take the lead on this because the bulk of the funding will go towards the Wildlife Sanctuary with some work in the waterway adjacent to Bay Beach. But we're talking a major habitat improvement project, maybe in the cost in the range of maybe $5 million for an implementation grant. So this is significant engineering, a significant habitat project when it's all said and done, and I would recommend approval.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Chair.
Alder.
So is this in the same area as the Connect the Bay project thing with GEI?
It's adjacent to it.
Okay.
So Connect to the Bay is really, it would fall west of Bay Beach's property. So, you know, that's something that the McDonald family really kind of initiated that.
Right.
So it's all kind of waterworks projects west of Bay Beach. This is all within the boundary of Bay Beach Amusement Park and Renard Isle. So it's independent, but it'll be designed jointly with that project so that everything complements each other. And that's also why, you know, Brown County is involved with the design committee to make sure everything ties in well. So,
Okay.
joint project, but independent project.
Great, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
A second.
We have a motion and Alder Weary motion, second by Alder Delete. Any further discussion? Before we take the vote, and this might be the same question, because I'm not sure if it's called that, because it's the DNR EPA. Isn't that partly the grant we're getting for the boardwalk / the,
That one's a different project altogether, and that's funded through the EPA, but it's through a different program.
okay, all right, just trying to keep
So
them
it's
all
not the
straight.
same program.
Okay, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, those opposed? Okay, that passes. Number 3, consideration with possible action on approving the necessary funding to hire a consultant to complete a space needs assessment for the Park Shop located at 919 North Crocker Street using 2022 bond money originally approved for the roof replacement of the old Park Shop.
So what I'm proposing here is to use the bond money that was originally slated to go towards the roof replacement to hire a consultant. And I'll kind of go over the reasons why, so you have a little background information. So back in 2022, the city council approved $100,000 to replace the roof of the old Park Shop building, which is an old brick building behind our main park building facility. It's heated, and it's primarily used for housing indoor vehicles, or housing vehicles that need heat in the winter. So it's a heated facility, but then we do store some materials in there also, but it's primarily for vehicle storage. Public Works, since we received the money, Public Works did try bidding that project out twice. The roof is old, and it is leaking, and it needs to be replaced. The roof material selected was a combination of asphalt shingles and also a rubber membrane. So the main structure of the roof is an arch shaped, and you can't do asphalt shingles on that, so we were doing a rubber membrane on that, but the flat parts of the roof would be asphalt shingles. As I mentioned, they bid it twice, and they didn't receive a single bid either time. So then we worked with the purchasing department to bid it through Omnia, which is the government bidding site where, you know, Omnia does the bidding for you, and you can tack on a PO through them. So again, we quoted it out as a membrane and asphalt shingle roof. Nobody submitted a quote or a bid through Omnia, but one company did submit a bid to do a standing seam metal roof instead. That came in at $590,000, which is well over our $100,000 budget. So instead of spending those kinds of dollars to replace the roof right now, our preference is to hire a consultant to do a space needs assessment of the entire facility, including all interior and exterior spaces. And that will help us determine if it's really going to be a wise investment to request additional bond money to replace the roof on this building or replace it with something different altogether and tear that building down. The new Park Shop was built in the mid-90s. Throughout the years, the Parks Department has grown substantially with number of people and amount of equipment, and just our exterior storage needs have grown. With Bay Beach growing, we need a place to put everything for Bay Beach. So we're running out of room on that site. And if you go out there now, what you'll see is there's the main Park Shop building, there's the old Park Shop building, and then I believe there's about 9 smaller sheds and buildings scattered throughout the site that we just added one by one as we needed more storage space. A lot of those sheds were just, we got a free garage from a building tear down, so we just put the garage on a trailer, hauled it to the Park Shop, and we're using it that way. But not a lot of real thought was put into, okay, is that the best way to approach this? It served our immediate needs, but now we're growing out of those shelters, and my staff is requesting that we build even a larger kind of a warehouse structure that's heated to house some more equipment. And so, in my opinion, what we really need to do is take a more holistic approach to the site design and really look at the facility as a whole. Look at all the interior spaces, look at office needs, look at mechanic needs, look at storage needs, look at parking needs, and determine if we can work with what we have, or is it better, are we better off to start tearing down some of those buildings and adding on in a different manner that's maybe more space effective and will serve our needs, you know, for the next 20, 30, 40 years down the road. Because right now, everything's kind of spread out, and we're even running out of exterior storage space, and there's no room to grow. We don't have additional land that we can build into. Like I said, we do need to replace that roof at the old park shop at some point in the near future, or build a replacement building that is more well thought out, or maybe it's an add-on to the existing park shop. But in either situation, we're going to need more money to do that. And so I think it's really a good use of taxpayer money to first do the space needs analysis study, see what we need, see which direction we want to go for the next 30 to 50 years, and put city resources into kind of a more holistic approach.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Alder Mary?
Thank you, Chairman. Dan, what's the expected cost for this?
I would guess around $50,000, but I really don't know until we put a scope of work together and get some quotes. But like I said, if it's over $50,000, it will be coming to this, well, I didn't say this, but if it's over $50,000, it will have to come to this committee for approval to hire the consultant. If it's under $50,000, I can approve it at a staff level. So if it's over 50, you'll get a chance to weigh in on it again.
We still have, what was it, 100,000?
100,000 was originally set aside.
So hopefully we'd still have half of that or more left over to put toward whatever project.
Correct.
moving forward.
That would be the hope.
And I realize it's not necessarily apples to apples, but I remember the Green Bay Metro, I think it was $25,000 for a consultant, wasn't it?
Correct. Yeah, I don't know where the scope of work is necessarily.
For like a space needs assessment,
Yeah.
but whatever, I know it's
50
different, but.
I think 50,000 would be on the very high side if it were to come in that high.
I just want to know, why is it so hard to get somebody to want to put a roof on? Like, is it like a specialized roof?
No. I mean, it's an arch-shaped roof, that typical membrane roof, and then asphalt shingles. I can't answer that. We've tried it 3 different times.
I remember that.
We're out of ideas, so, and it needs to be publicly bid. So,
Yeah. Okay, well, what are your wishes?
I move to approve.
Okay, Alder Dilly moves to approve.
Second.
Second by Alder Presley. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that passes. All right, we move, number 4, consideration with possible action on the request by the Green Bay Metro Fire Department to install an outdoor emergency siren at 8th Street Park.
would you like to present, or do you want me to?
Sure. I don't know if there's any questions, but,
Okay.
so, good evening. This siren is what's known as siren number 10 in our city array of sirens that provides weather warning to outdoor events. This site specifically on the park was identified as probably our 3rd or 4th choice. The siren that is currently, that it's being replaced is located at 100 block of 9th Street. And then we also looked at some sites on Broadway, and then also a few other in that area, and just have not had any luck. So the site we looked to put at on 9th was originally, has some large water mains and sewer mains through there, and then also some railroad property we looked at on Broadway that was no longer suitable. And so, like I said, we were asking for approval of putting this one outdoor warning siren on that park property. This would be a new pole with a, the typical weather siren on top of it that's controlled by the county. Current agreements that are in place, the county maintains them. The city is responsible for installing and renovating as we see. This siren was originally non-functioning and is still non-functioning condition. So we've had the equipment in place and trying to get it installed in somewhere, and this is where our vendor decided was probably a good alternative for us.
Any questions? You said it's the third or fourth choice,
Yes.
so.
Only because we haven't had any luck with those other sites, so that's why we're coming here before the board. We just could not reach agreements with those other sites.
Okay. Okay, well, nobody has any questions? Oh, Alder Presley.
Is this a less than ideal site then?
No, it's actually pretty optimal. We felt, we tried to keep it away from the park as best we could. Certainly, we'd like it just a little bit to the, a few blocks as away as would be optimal, and that's where it is. But again, the new sirens are such that the sound carries further, so we have that flexibility.
Okay.
And actually, this is probably one of the easier sites to be, because we don't have any other terms or anything like that we'd have to deal with.
Got it. Thank you.
And I know that there's at least one other one in the parks, so there's one at Bay Beach Amusement Park. I
Yeah.
don't know if any
I
of the
think
parks
there's
have.
a few more we have. Yeah.
Possibly.
Is that the one we hear at noon on Wednesdays?
It's one of the many sirens we
Okay,
hear.
which I haven't heard,
Yes.
because apparently the one by my house is not working.
All right, we can check into that too. I think we
No,
checked into
I-
it once, but yeah, so what we are, and this is a side note too, is with our capital improvement, we've tried to include 2 to 3 sirens as replacements. Our current siren array is very old and outdated, and we found some that were non-functioning. So again, the county maintains them, but there's only so much that they could do with them, and that's upgrading signals and things like that. And some are just non-functioning, and we're really working hard to try and do more preventative maintenance of these and get them updated on a regular schedule.
Yeah, that seems like a really important thing to have, so. Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments? Oh,
Did it used to be located at the old fire station on 9th? Is that-
Actually, it was located on the cement plant right along the river there, so that's where it was located. So,
Okay. Any
Good.
other
All right, thank
questions?
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, Alder Weary moves to approve, seconded by Alder Delete. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Chief, for coming out and waiting for your item.
You don't have to go though. You can stay.
Huh?
You
don't
can
have to
stay
go. You
for
can stay.
okay,
hours and
We have
then,
improved
yeah.
services after
All right,
this.
thank
Oh, no.
We do have another meeting after this. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Yep, you too.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, consideration with possible action on approving the purchase of automatic locks at 13 park shelter locations from LaForce, not to exceed $78,000. Director.
So the city has 37 park shelters with restrooms, not including Bay Beach Amusement Park. Over the last few years, we've included money in our annual budget cycle to add automatic locks to bathrooms at 2 park shelters per year. So right now, we have automatic locks at Astor, St. John's, Metro Boat Launch, Fritch, McAuliffe, and Red Smith. Last month, the Finance Committee and City Council approved using up to $78,000 in ARPA interest money so that we can purchase as many locks as we can for as many shelters as we can for that dollar amount. Because that large funding amount was approved in this year, in the 2025 budget, we did not allocate to shelters because we knew we were doing a bunch of them this year using the ARPA money. So the thought process is we'll get 13 shelters done with this money, and then in 2026 we'll continue to add at least 2 of them back in our budget if we're able to, so we can continue so that eventually all of them will be replaced. So we've been purchasing the automatic locks through LaForce. We do like their product, and we do want to stay consistent between all the shelters and use the same product at each one, because these are all controlled with an app. And so it's nice to have all that capability in one app and not have to decide which shelter has which locks and go back and forth between different apps. We did work with the purchasing department, and we received a quote from LaForce to do 13 of these shelters. That's all we can get for $78,000. Park staff did select the shelters based on how much usage the park's shelters get. So we didn't want to put these locks on the shelters that get minimum usage, so we did pick the higher usage shelters. If you want, I can go through the list of shelters. I didn't put an attachment out there, but if you actually look through the paperwork, each shelter is actually listed in the paperwork. But if you want, I can list them all off for you now, or I can provide the council additional information in time for the meeting if you want to know what shelters.
I think that we only care whether like ours are.
John Muir?
Well,
John Meter,
I'll
we
just
got
I'll
Murphy
just-
and
I'll
Colbert.
just list them off so that the council members can listen to the meeting if they want.
Okay,
So the ones chosen are Joannes, Whitney, St. James, Perkins, Marquette, the Colburn Upper Shelter, which is on 9th, Murphy, John Muir, Seymour, Beaumont, East River Van Beaver, Arnie Wolf Sports Complex, and Wilder. So those are the ones that staff selected.
Bill made it.
If you total up the individual quotes and all of the agenda packet information, you'll see it only comes to $74,519, which is just shy of the $78,000. I would like the approval to be not to exceed $78,000, because once we start installing them, there'll be some incidental costs that'll come up, and there'll be some additional purchases. It'll be minimal. We only need a few $1,000s for all 13 shelters in total, so I think up to $78,000 is adequate.
And I know I was asking you questions prior to everybody arriving, that I thought it would be of interest to everybody of exactly where the locks are going.
Yeah, so the locks are only for the bathrooms at this point. It just gives us the opportunity to lock and unlock all the bathrooms at one time, so that we don't have to have somebody come to each park, unlock them, drive 15 minutes to the next park, unlock it, drive 15 minutes to the next park. So as you can imagine, that would take an entire workday to hit all of those parks, and then you're staggering the opening and closing dates, times, not dates. So it gives us a lot of flexibility to just open them up when it makes sense to open them and close them without having to send a staff member. This would not be locks for the shelter itself. So if somebody's renting a shelter, we still want to send somebody there to open and close. That way we can make sure that, especially when we're locking up, that everything's good and the shelter is left in a decent condition. So we do want to have that inspection when we lock it up. So therefore, we don't have plans right now to do the automatic locks for the shelters themselves, just the bathrooms. But we can always look at that in the future if we feel that there's a demand or a need for it.
Okay, anybody else? Any questions?
I think the bathrooms is the most important piece of it. I heard from a lot of people that have young families that like to go to the parks, but so many times the bathrooms are not available. So I think this is great. So
The only thing I thought of is, obviously, if somebody's in the bathroom and you lock it, they could probably get out, but then they could probably prop the door.
Correct, and that's why there'll be a warning system. We'll get a warning on the app saying the door's not locked, so you can check that actually. And then we're also able to install motion sensors in the bathrooms, so that if somebody decides they want to stay in the bathroom overnight, if they move, we'll sense that, and we'll be able to send somebody there and make sure that there isn't somebody camped out in the bathroom overnight.
Okay, that sounds good.
And then
Any-
also, we'll be able to detect if there's vandalism, if somebody's in there in the middle of the night.
Hmm. That's good to know. Any other questions? Okay, looking for a motion?
move to approve.
Second.
Okay, move to approve by Elder DeLee, seconded by Elder Presley. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and that passes. So we're moving on to informational director's report on updates and recent activities of the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department.
I don't have anything to add, other than the fact that, I know there's been some questions about making snow out at Triangle Hill. We were not able to get the infrastructure installed in time to allow us to keep the equipment on site, but we do have a plan in place that when weather cooperates, We're gonna haul the equipment from the park shop, make snow for as long as we can, and then haul it back to the park shop. That is not an ideal situation because our grooming machine is an oversized load, and it takes up 2 lanes of traffic. So it's not something we want to do a lot, but we do intend on making snow this year as long as the weather allows us to.
Which that was a question I had before everybody got here too, and you're thinking maybe even next week?
Possibly.
It's been
We'll see.
cold.
Don't, we'll keep you all informed if that
Yeah.
happens,
So
so.
make it nice.
Yeah, no guarantee. but-
No
Especially in
guarantees.
North Dakota right now.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on the report? Looking to receive and place on file?
Receive and place on file.
Second.
Motion by Elder Weary, second by Elder DeLee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and that has been received and placed on file. So our next meeting is December 11th. And so I'm looking for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Elder DeLee,
Second.
second by Elder Weary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good Thanksgiving.
You too.
Yes. Happy Turkey Day.
Yeah.